I got to check out
the Genesis
X-Men
tour.
Apocalypse. Am I the only one in the house that got to see this drivel?
No,
this
I have.
tragedy.
I have viewed it.
You have viewed it?
I didn't see
my
it,
eyes
so.
cannot see what I've seen.
Yeah, dude, what the heck, man? I went in with such high hopes because this was my story.
Wait, high hopes. How's
Really?
that possible?
High hopes, man. Okay, because I know
We had a chat way earlier.
We had a chat but
after Deadpool. And you specifically said Apocalypse is like the worst X-Men storyline.
No, I said the most complex and convoluted and hard to do as a movie, but I still said one of my favorites because Apocalypse is one of my favorite villains, and I went in with this one hoping that somehow by the graces.
I remember when he was hinted at the end of the last movie, you were all pumped up.
I was, and that's one of the things. And if you recall, Emily Hecht was chiming in the commentary there.
Yes.
And she went on and on about how hot she thought the dude was. And I'm like, do you realize what you're saying? You're saying Adolf Hitler had a cute high school picture. It's just...
I haven't seen it, but he might, yeah.
I was struggling to drive it home, man. I can't find my notes here, so I'm just going to wing it. But basically, the storyline is the very first mutant on Earth has returned after several thousand years of sleep, and they really go out of their way to emphasize how old he is, to point out how in storylines a lot of the stuff that he claims to be and is said about him
is in the Bible, and
the Bible, is in like Dead Sea Scrolls and all this old historical text, and they say, well, it sounds like he's basing his legend off of these, and then someone points out, no, actually, these legends may be based off of him.
Right. It's kind of like in Highlander, like at the end of like the TV show when Mythos is like one of the four riders of the apocalypse there, the four horsemen. It was kind of like that, right?
Yep. Yeah. And I like that. I like that concept, though, because it shows that they're trying to go beyond the comic universe to give it some sort of
real-life historical,
Yeah, and the only thing I can say is that is where it stops being clever. Dude.
Outside the plot, it stops being something you want to watch,
Because you start off with a great premise, and then the whole thing just completely, like, somebody shat in their hand and threw it against the wall and said, there, we have a movie, my friends.
Wow.
Man.
I am so upset because this movie had on paper, it had everything.
It had potential.
That should have been, such potential. That should have made a really good movie. The introduction of Scott Summers, which we've been waiting to see, since we kind of didn't hate James Marsden in the early X-Men movies because he played a good Scott Summers, a good Cyclops, because we're not supposed to like Scott Summers. We respect him as a leader and a warrior, but he's also a dick.
Yeah, he was like nuanced in the faces. Like, I don't really like him, but he hasn't really done anything to really piss me off. Yeah, you know what I mean? He's reserved enough where you're like, I don't really trust that dude, but he's
something
kind of
about that
sure.
guy. And this movie introduced somebody new, Ty. Oh, geez, I want to say not Egerton. Was it Egerton?
Oh, now Joel
the actor for Scott.
Yeah,
I totally forgot the kid's name.
Yeah, I forgot his name too. Ty.
We got a computer around here somewhere. I think,
Ty Sheridan was good casting, I thought, because for some reason I couldn't get past his face. Something was very specific about his face, and I'm like, I buy that this dude's gonna grow up to be an ass. And he played it well.
That's it. When you nail it,
that's one requirement for being Cyclops.
He was a punk teenager, but that really worked for the story and really worked for the character. The actor portrayed it well. And I couldn't get. I finally figured out what about his face looked kind of familiar, but kind of off-putting. I'm a big Tom Hardy fan. Yeah, we've seen Tom Hardy do great work. Tom Hardy is also a chameleon.
Yeah,
and I thought this may have been Tom Hardy in that, like, remember Captain America movie when they made him like extra small and skinny. I thought they pulled one of those for a few minutes. Yeah, it's not. Ty Sheridan just has that face. He looks like Tom Hardy's little brother.
But he's been good He's been good in past movies and everything like that.
I'm not saying his acting was bad. I'm just saying his face was very specific. That's all.
The punchability scale is high. Is what you're saying.
It was.
You got to get to the part where some of the characters I've been waiting to see on screen, were underutilized so bad.
How was Olivia Munn?
Olivia Munn was...
She was just eye candy for whatever.
That's what I was expecting, dude. But
well, Psylocke, the character of Psylocke is a complex one that no one's ever really cared about, to the point where they've retconned it like no less than 4 times.
Man, Jim Lee was awesome. I'm sorry. Jim Lee, dude. Right? That was like
Jim Lee was not in this movie.
No, but he was the one that introduced Psylocke to the world, dude.
Yeah,
man.
Think about it this way: where the characters
anyway.
started and where the characters have come, like end up, are worlds light years apart.
Well,
look at Deadpool. Fabian Nicieza and Rob Liefeld created that sucker, and now he's one of the most popular movie characters in 2016.
Right. But we're talking about like with the X-Men and everything like this with this franchise. It's just like it's so hit or like throw it against the wall. You know what I mean? Like, they'll go from being like good to really good to oh my god, how did they do that? You know what I mean? It's like seems to be like jumping from that like back and forth, even from like the Wolverine single stories.
How did they get funding for that?
Yeah, it's like the single story, like the X-Men Origins Wolverine, and then to like the X-Men's first, the other X-Men.
I can answer that question. It's Fox. They don't give a damn.
Right.
He's not wrong. Okay, now tell me, did something seem familiar about this movie that you couldn't quite place your finger on? Because I, for the longest time, until I saw the end credits, couldn't think why this movie's. It's like just off kilter with me.
Nah, man.
Okay, well, here's what got me. I really liked X-Men First Class.
Okay.
And I liked Days of Future Past less, but Days of Future Past building off of First Class.
It wasn't a bad film, yeah.
No, it wasn't a bad film at all. You're right. But the thing that got me on this one was there's something familiar about this, but something familiar that I don't like, and I can't quite place it. I found it at the end credits because I didn't research who made this beforehand. It was directed by Bryan Singer. Right there. And my thing is, after rebuilding the good faith that Bryan Singer cut down in X-Men movies and comic movies in general, with X-Men First Class, and then to a lesser degree, but like I said, with Days of Future Past and The Wolverine, Bryan Singer comes in and presents this movie that was all style over substance. I was so let down because they had potential and they dropped the ball.
I felt like they tried so hard. Like there were scenes in there that were great. It could have been better at rated R, but like I feel like it was trying to pay homage to the comic events. Like, oh great, thank you for paying that little piece of homage. Get back to the story, which is garbage as hell. You know what I mean? So I think that's what I dislike most about it. It's like he tried so hard to appease fans while trying to keep his Singer touch on the film, and then you totally destroy like characters that are like iconic.
Well,
like,
what I'm also hearing out of this movie too, like, and not having seen it, is like the just the continuity and the time frame of this movie doesn't really make sense when you align it with the other films.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I think the excuse he gave to is some quantum physics mechanics.
Well, that's what happened in Days of Future Past. Remember?
And it's just it's such an easy cop out where it's just you can blame it on anything. You know what I mean? It's just
but that's the attitude. It's like you can tell he doesn't care. It's just a paycheck.
Which is the thing, because he kind of brought this stuff to us. You know what I mean?
Was that you that told me that there was an article that he wrote? Was that you that somebody said he stated that I'm making a sci-fi film more than I'm making a fan film.
No.
Oh, you know what I mean? That wasn't me, but I can definitely see that.
You know what I mean? Like he said, I was like, I'm not doing this for the fans. I'm creating a sci-fi film that I feel like I could tell in this manner, and this is the way it's going to be done.
Which would be cool if, you know what I mean, but the sci-fi still has to hold up. It still has to make sense, you know what I mean? Dude. It still has to make sense. Like the science of the sci-fi still has to be science, right? It still has to be you can't just write it off hey, how do we get here?
Exactly.
How can you really blame him though, dude? You're taking on a character like Apocalypse, dude. That's celestial technology.
No, we can blame him. Okay, we can blame them. The fact that these cats took nothing characters, or the Guardians of the Galaxy, and gave us a solid movie that was entertaining.
Yep. But that was Marvel.
It's all Marvel. That's the thing. No. People can't assume just because it's Fox making the movie doesn't mean it exists outside of the Marvel universe, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
Because we've gotten all too comfortable in saying, well, why wasn't Andrew Garfield in Iron Man?
Sure,
because it's Fox, and so it's like they all are in the Marvel universe, and the fact that these companies, these studios, have their own inner turmoils and we can't work with this, we can't have this inherent things, that detriments it, because you have people that make good movies, and in the same universe you'll have people that make the really crappy movies. This movie was garbage juice in my opinion. It hurts to say because they took one of my favorite stories and they bastardized it.
And that's what's aggravating about at the end of the day, dude, I cried I cried when I watched it. I'm like, dude, I looked at my girl baby, I'm crying for the day Marvel can helm an X-Men film. I'm an X-Men lover. Like, I love the Avengers, but I was an X-Men kid. I was 90s cartoon comic books, 90s comics all the way through. I have the runs, brother.
Nice.
Yeah,
and it sucks
so
that
I was a
can't
DC
get an
kid.
X-Men movie.
X-Men was my only toe dipping into Marvel.
Yeah,
and
dude.
it was what's up. Okay, I'm like, everything else in Marvel is gritty and too raw for me, but X-Men is the saving grace.
Yeah.
You know, I would have killed for a movie like this in the 90s.
Yeah.
When all we had was like the Punisher, the Dolph Lundgren Punisher.
That's interesting, dude.
You know,
like, if you saw this movie back in the '90s, would you have considered it like a good movie then, dude? Like, when
I
comic book
considered
movies
no, but that's because we didn't have.
I considered
anything.
Biodome a good movie in the 90s. Let's be honest, yeah.
All right.
We can't go back in time, yeah. But you're right. I probably would have, you know what I mean? But that's not the time we're living in.
That's right.
We have high standards now, you know what I mean? And we should have high standards as fans, as critics, you know,
we can look at these things with prestige.
And then the back, did you see the end credit?
I watched the end credits.
I'm like, really? Like, that should have happened before. That
should have happened between X1 and X2.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, well, don't spoil that.
I won't. All I'll say, the legit review here now is this is not Apocalypse's movie, even though it should be. This is not the X-Men movie, even though it should be. They really try to ham-fist and crowbar in the bromance between Professor X and Magneto, and by now we have stopped caring.
Yep.
Like, this is so far beyond the realm of I don't give a. You know, the only thing that saved this movie experience and would make me recommend it to anybody is if you wanted to see Jean Grey finally not be the extra emo. Oh, I'm kind of the Phoenix, but I'm not, and maybe I'm working for Magneto, or maybe I'm not. And bloody. It's like if you wanted to see her just be Jean Grey, the actress in this movie, she handled that. They didn't give her much to do, but when she was on screen, I was like, you know what? I kind of care where this story goes.
Yeah.
They put Jean Grey in play. They put Scott Summers in play. Finally! And, dude, Nightcrawler, son. Nightcrawler was all over this movie. I laughed my ass off. It was on point. It was the man. Nightcrawler actually does some stuff besides speak German, pray, and look weird.
It's actually funny as hell.
I mean, I guess I'm digging it like that. So the only reason I'm actually interested in this movie is because of the actor who plays Apocalypse.
The actor, Oscar
Isaac. Yeah. So
great.
he does. I mean, he's basically unrecognizable to look at him.
Yeah, they did.
And so,
they did a lot with the makeup.
he-
I wouldn't say they did good with the makeup. I'll say they did a lot with the makeup.
Right.
Because at the end, they tried to make it look
is
more
the
Egyptian and
performance
less
like?
mutants.
Does the performance like?
His performance was a letdown, and that's what really bugs me because Apocalypse is in the title. To me,
it wasn't.
Okay,
it was actually really good. It's just what we know of Apocalypse and what he's capable of wasn't done correctly.
Okay.
His voice,
I can see
the way
that.
he
I can see
approached
that.
the actors, the way he approached his agenda was. I mean, Oscar Wilde's a great actor, bro.
Oscar Isaac.
Thank you, Oscar Isaac. No. Like
Oscar Wilde
I love
he's been
everything
dead a
he's
long
in.
time, brother.
That movie, The Machine,
The Machinist,
the one when he built the android,
Ex Machina.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was great acting.
Great movie.
So I just couldn't get past. I just saw that, and I just saw him. And I'm like,
awesome.
good choice for Apocalypse. I like the way they did the voice. I like the way he approached situations. Just Apocalypse is way more badass.
Okay, I think you're right. I may have been hasty in my assumption. I think you're right. I still would have liked to have seen more done with Apocalypse in line with him being more of an evil, desperate figure than just a manipulative, powered Lex Luthor type of guy. You know, I will say though, one of the things that this movie absolutely did right, mostly did right, is introduce several different X-Men universe characters. They showed what they could do, but they didn't harp on most of them for too long.
Yeah.
We saw Caliban and what he was doing. Made sense. We saw Storm. I would have liked to have seen more of Storm, or at least a better actress portray Storm.
There's no character that's been screwed over more than Storm. In the whole X-Men thing.
Scott Summers.
She has maybe, but she has no good dialogue in any of these movies she's ever done.
In all fairness, though,
you know what happens to a frog after he gets struck by lightning?
I was just gonna bring that up.
Are you kidding me?
Thing that happens to everything else.
It's like you gotta. She's
Why you gotta dredge up bad
Jamaican accent?
But she's it, man. She's it. She's like the.
I hear
she
you.
gets nothing.
A big deal
she
was
gets to
made
chew on
about
nothing.
a big deal was made about Jubilee, and you're gonna see Jubilee. She's gonna do stuff now. It's like she was a background figure. I liked seeing her there, but I never understood why she was such a big deal outside of the 90s cartoon show. And I thought this movie was going to present that. They didn't really.
Well, it sounds like X-Men is like in this perpetual thing of too many cooks in the kitchen. There's too many characters that you want to see. There's too many these great storylines that you want to see like brought to light, and it's just like they don't have time, and so they bring some up and then they throw them to the wayside all the time.
Long ass movie, man.
Dude,
yeah, but
this was like 2.5. What was up?
Would this movie make you want to read the upcoming X-Men event, the Apocalypse War or whatever, dude?
No, and it should. It should.
Yeah,
but
dude.
it won't.
Oh man,
that's what because this.
It doesn't make you want to go to the comics. You go to the source.
No, and it should too. It was all special effects.
And it fails twice.
It was all style, no substance, and even Bryan Singer took liberties with a lot of the costuming, which I think was a misstep.
That was the most aggravating part of the movie.
He also takes liberties.
Hey, by the way, look at those. Yeah, why not? Oh, really, Singer?
I will say, I've talked a lot of mess about this, but once again, my favorite scene coming out of an X-Men movie, was Quicksilver, dude.
Yeah,
Quicksilver.
The soundtrack to that scene was awesome. So,
because in the last movie, like he does that thing, it's like, he's walking around, he's moving the bullets and stuff like that, and it played to that music. It was perfect. Yeah, it was great.
Started off, I thought they were doing an homage to that, and when the scene became its own, I was like, okay. Yeah. It took about a good 30 seconds for me to be like, oh, y'all doing this BS again? How the fuck? Oh, that's what's going on.
They have a better Quicksilver than the Avengers Quicksilver.
Yeah, they do.
Absolutely.
They have a live Quicksilver. What's going on? All right, at the end of the day, which I've said like 4 times here, but now at the end, I can't recommend anyone see this, but if you are seriously a hardcore fan,
savage.
Like, I'm sorry,
it's true,
dude.
Man. It's good. It's good.
The movie almost hurt me, on a moral level. All right, man, I'm upset. I'm upset as a comic fan and as a black man. We started off in Egypt. How many black people?
So this is my last question about the thing. Do you see
Greeks in Egypt? It was all Mark Anthony.
Fox cutting a deal with Marvel as Sony did to let them helm something?
I don't, because they're petty they're petty. Right. But I wish they would.
Thanks for shattering my dream.
I'm sorry, man. It's just I wish I had
put
better
a knife in my heart
news.
just now.
We have gone so far over time on this review.
It's good, man. It's
all right. Well, either way, I can't recommend this. D.
Nah, man.
Yeah,
bootleg it or wait till it hits.
Bootleg it.
Do something. Hit CBS.
As much as we don't endorse these illicit activities,
save your $10-$20, man. Seriously.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go